Welcome, chosen ones. Certain voices were never meant to reach your ears, yet somehow, their whispers found their way into your story. Quiet conversations, hidden opinions, secret judgments, none of them began by accident. They started the moment your life began to change. Peace replaced chaos. Wisdom replaced impulse. Confidence replaced fear. Many people celebrate loud success, but real transformation often unfolds so quietly that only careful observers notice it. Those observers are not always supporters. Some become curious. Some become uncomfortable. Some begin speaking in low voices, trying to understand a version of you that no longer fits the image they once controlled. Many believe every rumor deserves an answer. Every accusation deserves a defense. Every insult deserves a reply. Yet history, psychology, and spiritual wisdom reveal another path. Some of life's greatest victories are won without raising your voice. Many hidden battles are decided long before a single word is spoken. Emotional discipline often defeats strategies that anger never could. Those who study human behavior understand a simple truth. Skilled manipulators rarely seek honest conversation. They seek emotional reactions. Silence interrupts their plans. Patience exposes motives that arguments often hide. This message reaches far beyond ordinary advice. Throughout this journey, deeper truths will unfold about hidden manipulation, spiritual discernment, emotional strength, and the quiet power that protects those walking in their purpose. Every lesson builds toward an understanding that many people discover only after painful experience. Staying until the end could completely change the way you respond to criticism, gossip, and unseen opposition. One quiet decision may protect your peace more than 1,000 carefully chosen words. Welcome to Conscious Principles, where timeless wisdom, spiritual insight, and practical truth come together to strengthen your mind and spirit. Subscribe to the channel and join a growing community committed to living with clarity, courage, and quiet strength. Every whisper carries a clue. Very few people spend their time talking about someone who never changes. Ordinary patterns rarely attract curiosity. Predictable lives rarely become the center of quiet conversations. Yet the moment a person begins to grow, everything shifts. A calmer attitude replaces constant reactions. Quiet confidence replaces the need for approval. Peace begins to shine through situations that once caused fear. That kind of change is difficult for many people to understand, especially those who only remember the old version of you. Growth creates questions that some people are unwilling to ask with honesty. Rather than accepting that you have matured, they search for another explanation. They wonder whether you are pretending. They question your motives. They build stories from small observations, filling the empty spaces with assumptions instead of truth. This is not always because they hate you. Many times it is because your transformation forces them to confront parts of themselves they have ignored. Your progress becomes a silent mirror, reflecting possibilities they never pursued and choices they never made. Spiritual maturity makes this even more noticeable. A person who no longer argues over every insult, chases every opinion, or competes for every moment of attention begins to move differently. There is a quiet strength that cannot be measured by words alone. That strength often unsettles those who depend on conflict, comparison, or constant validation. They expect the same reactions they received before, but instead they meet patience. They expect insecurity, but they find stability. They expect noise, but they encounter silence. Human nature struggles to explain change that happens deep within the heart. Since real transformation cannot always be seen, people often invent explanations that fit their own understanding. Rumors become easier than reflection. Assumptions become easier than acceptance. The whispers you hear are often less about your life and more about the mystery of a person who refused to remain the same. Every quiet step forward challenges the expectations of those who believed your story had already been written. Notice the moment everything changes. The conversation loses its power the instant you refuse to feed it. Many people expect anger because anger is predictable. They expect long explanations because explanations give them more material to examine. They expect frustration because emotional reactions confirm the story they already created in their minds. Yet quiet confidence interrupts that pattern. A calm response leaves them with nothing to hold on to, and that uncertainty often becomes more uncomfortable than any argument ever could. Human psychology is deeply affected by unanswered questions. When people cannot fully understand someone's behavior, their minds naturally search for missing pieces. Some respond with curiosity. Others respond by creating their own answers. They replay your words, study your actions, and search for hidden meanings that may not even exist. The less they receive from you, the more they rely on their own assumptions. In many cases, the silence they dislike becomes a mirror reflecting their own fears, insecurities, and expectations, rather than revealing anything true about you. This is why calmness carries such quiet power. A peaceful person cannot easily be controlled through provocation. Someone who refuses to chase every accusation or defend every misunderstanding protects something far more valuable than reputation. They protect their inner peace. That kind of discipline frustrates those who depend on emotional chaos. Every failed attempt to provoke you slowly uncovers their true intentions. Their impatience becomes visible. Their need for control begins to surface. Their words reveal more about their character than your silence ever reveals about yours. Many chosen ones misunderstand this lesson at first. They believe every false statement must be corrected immediately. Every rumor must be challenged. Every criticism must receive an answer. Yet wisdom teaches a different path. Silence is not surrender. It is not fear. It is the ability to remain steady when emotions invite you into a battle that offers no real victory. Real strength is measured by self-control, not by the volume of your voice. The person who governs their emotions possesses a power that manipulation struggles to overcome, because a disciplined spirit cannot easily be led away from its purpose. Stay alert, because not every battle arrives with raised voices or open confrontation. Some of the sharpest attacks are hidden inside ordinary conversations, a carefully chosen sentence, a quiet suggestion, a compliment followed by doubt, a question that sounds innocent but plants suspicion in another person's mind. People skilled in manipulation rarely push you into conflict directly. They guide emotions one small step at a time, hoping you will walk into the trap without realizing it. By the time confusion appears, they seem calm while you appear unsettled. Emotional manipulation often wears the mask of concern. Someone may claim they are only trying to help while constantly reminding you of your past mistakes. They may compare your journey to someone else's, making your progress seem smaller than it truly is. They may repeat private conversations, leaving out important details until the story supports the picture they want others to believe. Strategic gossip works in much the same way. It does not always rely on obvious lies. It often mixes a small piece of truth with layers of assumption, creating a version of events that feels believable even when it is deeply unfair. This is why intelligence alone is never enough. Intelligence without integrity can become a tool for control instead of wisdom. A sharp mind guided by pride, jealousy, or insecurity learns how to influence people without ever speaking the whole truth. It studies weaknesses. It notices emotional patterns. It waits for the perfect moment to create doubt, division, or distraction. The goal is rarely understanding. The goal is influence. Many people lose these encounters before they even realize a contest has begun. They rush to defend themselves, explain every detail, or prove every accusation wrong. Skilled manipulators often welcome that response because it shifts attention away from their behavior and places every spotlight on yours. The longer the argument continues, the more opportunities they gain to twist words, redirect emotions, and reshape the conversation. Wisdom recognizes that not every invitation deserves acceptance. Some conversations are carefully designed to consume your energy while producing no lasting truth, and the strongest response is refusing to become part of the performance. Look closer, because the trap is rarely hidden in the words themselves. It is hidden in the emotion those words are designed to awaken. People who thrive on manipulation understand that strong feelings can cloud clear thinking. They know that frustration can turn wisdom into impulse within seconds. Instead of attacking your character openly, they create small moments of irritation, a dismissive comment, a false accusation, a deliberate misunderstanding, a repeated insult disguised as humor. Each moment is carefully placed, hoping one of them will finally push you beyond your patience. The danger is not the accusation. The danger is forgetting who you are while trying to defend yourself. A single uncontrolled reaction can become the only thing people remember, while years of kindness, consistency, and integrity fade into the background. One burst of anger can be repeated, shared, and retold until it overshadows countless moments of quiet faithfulness. Those waiting for your mistake understand this. They are not always collecting evidence against your character. Sometimes they are simply waiting for you to create it yourself. This is why the real objective is rarely the truth. Truth would require honesty, listening, and a genuine desire for understanding. Manipulation seeks something entirely different. It seeks your emotional response. The louder your reaction becomes, the less attention people give to the original issue. The conversation shifts. Instead of asking whether the accusation was fair, everyone begins discussing the way you responded. In that moment, the trap has accomplished its purpose. Chosen ones must learn to pause before every response. Not every challenge deserves immediate attention. Not every criticism deserves space in your heart. Discernment begins with recognizing the difference between a sincere conversation and a carefully arranged provocation. Peace is protected one decision at a time. Every calm breath creates room for wisdom. Every measured response weakens the power of those hoping to control your emotions. The strongest person in the room is often the one who refuses to surrender their inner stability, even when every voice around them is demanding a reaction. Guard this truth with your whole heart. Your energy is one of the most valuable gifts God has entrusted to you. Every day, your mind, emotions, and spirit are directed towards something, The question is whether they are being invested in your purpose or drained by distractions. Many chosen ones discover that the greatest threat is not always a visible enemy. Sometimes it is the constant pressure to respond to every opinion, every rumor, and every invitation to conflict. Little by little, these unnecessary battles steal focus, weaken joy, and leave the soul exhausted. Inner peace is not an accident. It is something that must be protected with intention. Just as a gardener removes weeds before they choke healthy plants, you must recognize the thoughts, conversations, and relationships that quietly disturb your spirit. Emotional boundaries are not walls built from pride. They are acts of wisdom. They allow compassion without surrendering peace. They allow kindness without accepting manipulation. They allow forgiveness without giving every negative voice unlimited access to your heart. Every argument carries a hidden cost. Even after the conversation ends, the mind often keeps replaying it. Hours are spent thinking about words that cannot be changed. Sleep becomes restless. Prayer becomes distracted. Gratitude gives way to frustration. The conflict may last only a few minutes, but its effects can linger for days. Those who understand this choose their battles carefully. They know that attention is limited, and every unnecessary struggle takes something away from the work they were truly called to accomplish. There is deep spiritual wisdom in protecting your peace. Peace is not merely the absence of conflict. It is a quiet strength that keeps your heart steady when everything around you feels uncertain. It allows you to hear God's guidance above the noise of human opinions. It keeps fear from making decisions that wisdom should make. A peaceful spirit is difficult to manipulate because it is not ruled by impulse. It remains anchored in truth instead of being carried away by every accusation, every rumor, or every attempt to provoke a reaction. That quiet stability becomes a shield, guarding both your purpose and your path. Turn your attention to a pattern that appears again and again throughout Scripture. God's faithful servants were often misunderstood before they were honored. They faced false accusations, unfair judgment, and hidden opposition, yet their greatest victories rarely came through endless arguments. They came through unwavering faith. Joseph was betrayed by his own brothers, sold into slavery, and later falsely accused in Egypt. For years he carried a reputation he did not deserve, yet he did not spend his life chasing every lie or demanding that everyone believe his innocence. God worked behind the scenes, and in the right moment, the truth became impossible to ignore. The same prison that looked like defeat became the path to the palace. David also understood this lesson. Long before he became king, he was hunted by Saul, who believed stories driven by fear and jealousy. David had opportunities to take revenge, yet he refused to seize God's promise through anger or violence. He trusted that the one who called him would also defend him. His restraint revealed a heart shaped by faith rather than emotion, and that patience became part of his strength. Even Jesus faced false witnesses, distorted words, and public rejection. Many expected him to answer every accusation with force, yet there were moments when silence carried greater authority than any defense. His mission was never controlled by the demands of the crowd. He remained faithful to the Father's purpose, knowing that truth did not depend on immediate approval. The resurrection revealed more than any argument ever could. These examples remind us that God's timing is rarely rushed. Human nature wants instant justice, immediate recognition, and quick correction of every misunderstanding. Yet God often works in ways that require waiting. During that waiting, character is refined, faith grows deeper, and hidden motives are exposed without constant striving. Trust learns to stand where panic once ruled. The heart becomes steady because it knows that God is never late, even when his answers seem delayed. Every season of quiet endurance prepares the faithful for a future that could never be reached through fear, impatience, or the desperate need to prove themselves. Look beyond appearances, because not every intelligent person is truly wise. Cleverness can solve problems, win debates, and influence opinions, but spiritual discernment reaches much deeper. It recognizes the condition of the heart behind the words. It notices patterns that others overlook. It understands that the loudest voice is not always the most truthful, and that confidence is not always a sign of character. A clever mind gathers information. A discerning spirit seeks understanding from God before reaching a conclusion. That difference protects chosen ones from being misled by appearances or manipulated by persuasive speech. This is why listening is such a powerful discipline. Many people are eager to speak, defend themselves, or prove a point. But wisdom often begins by remaining quiet long enough to observe. The more carefully you listen, the more clearly you see. People eventually reveal themselves through repeated choices, changing stories, and consistent attitudes. Hidden motives rarely stay hidden forever. Pride begins to show itself. Jealousy slips into ordinary conversations. Selfish ambition becomes visible through small decisions. Time has a remarkable way of uncovering what hurried emotions often miss. Discernment also teaches patience with your own reactions. The first emotion you feel is not always the truest guide. A painful comment may tempt you to assume the worst. An unexpected criticism may convince you that everyone is against you. Yet a discerning heart pauses before accepting that conclusion. It seeks clarity instead of rushing toward judgment. It asks God for wisdom instead of allowing fear to take control. In that pause, confusion often loses its power, and truth begins to emerge. As your discernment grows, your responses begin to change. You stop chasing every argument because you recognize which conversations are sincere and which are designed to distract you. You become less impressed by polished words and more attentive to consistent actions. You learn that wisdom is not measured by how quickly you answer, but by how faithfully you respond. Every moment of thoughtful restraint strengthens your character, protects your peace, and prepares you to walk with greater confidence, guided not by impulse, but by the quiet direction of God's wisdom. Remember this truth whenever you feel pressured to defend yourself. A life lived with consistency carries a weight that words alone can never match. False stories may travel quickly, but they cannot keep pace with years of faithful character. People may believe a rumor for a moment, yet they eventually notice the difference between repeated accusations and repeated integrity. Every honest decision, every act of kindness, every promise kept, and every quiet moment of faithfulness adds another layer to a reputation that cannot easily be erased. Integrity is not built in a single day, and it is not destroyed by every opinion. It grows through countless ordinary choices made when no one is watching. It is revealed in the way you treat people who cannot benefit you. It is seen in your patience under pressure, your humility during success, and your honesty when telling the truth is difficult. Over time, this kind of character becomes impossible to ignore. Even those who once questioned your motives begin to see a pattern that cannot be explained away. Truth has a quiet endurance that deception cannot imitate forever. Think about the people who have influenced your life the most. Chances are, you remember how they lived more than the arguments they won. Their compassion stayed with you. Their courage inspired you. Their consistency earned your trust. Actions leave a deeper imprint than endless explanations because they reveal the heart behind the words. This is why a peaceful life often becomes the strongest answer to those who expect you to defend yourself at every turn. Let your journey become your testimony. Let your growth answer the doubts. Let your kindness challenge the bitterness around you. Continue serving faithfully even when your efforts go unnoticed. Continue walking in truth even when others misunderstand your intentions. Every step taken with integrity speaks in a language that accusations cannot silence. There is great freedom in realizing that your purpose is not to convince every critic, but to remain faithful to the path God has placed before you. A life that reflects wisdom, love, and unwavering character will always speak louder than the loudest defense. Stand firm in this final lesson because many people misunderstand one of the greatest signs of strength. Walking away is often mistaken for surrender, but true surrender is allowing someone else to control your emotions. Real strength is choosing not to hand over your peace. Not every invitation deserves your presence. Not every disagreement deserves your attention. Some doors are meant to remain closed because everything waiting behind them leads only to confusion, exhaustion, and regret. The strongest people are not those who win every argument. They are the ones who recognize which battles were never meant to be fought. Emotional maturity changes the way you see conflict. Instead of asking, "How can I prove I am right?" you begin asking, "Will this lead to truth, healing, or growth?" Many arguments promise satisfaction but leave behind emptiness. They consume hours of thought, drain emotional strength, and distract you from the purpose God has placed before you. A temporary victory means very little when it costs your peace, your focus, or your spiritual clarity. Wisdom understands that preserving your heart is far more valuable than winning the approval of people who have already decided not to understand you. Every unhealthy battle steals something precious. It steals time that could have been invested in your calling. It steals energy that could have been poured into your family, your faith, and your future. It steals attention from the work God is quietly accomplishing in your life. Chosen ones are not called to carry every burden or answer every voice. They are called to remain faithful, keeping their eyes on the path that leads toward purpose rather than distraction. There will be moments when silence feels uncomfortable because everything around you urges an immediate response. Yet silence can become one of the clearest expressions of confidence. It says that your identity is not dependent on winning public approval. It declares that your peace is too valuable to trade for pointless conflict. It reflects a heart that trusts God more than human opinion. Sometimes the most powerful statement you will ever make is the one you never speak, because the quiet confidence of a disciplined spirit leaves behind a testimony that no argument could ever create. See the whispers from a different perspective. They may feel like resistance, but they often reveal that something meaningful is happening beneath the surface. A tree attracts the strongest winds as it grows taller. In the same way, a life that is moving closer to God's purpose often draws unexpected attention. Opposition is not always a sign that you are on the wrong path. Many times, it is evidence that your growth has become visible. Your peace stands out in a world filled with anxiety. Your faith shines where others expect fear. Your steady walk reminds people that lasting change is possible, even when they struggle to believe it for themselves. Every difficult season carries lessons that comfort alone could never teach. Patience is not formed when everything happens according to your plans. It is formed while waiting with trust. Wisdom is not gained by avoiding every challenge. It grows through moments that require careful choices, quiet endurance, and unwavering faith. Resilience is built one step at a time, especially when you continue moving forward despite misunderstanding, rejection, or disappointment. The very experiences that seem designed to discourage you often become the foundation of your greatest strength. Criticism also deserves a different response than many expect. Not every critical voice is meant to stop you. Some become opportunities to refine your character. Others reveal areas where your faith can grow even deeper. Instead of seeing every harsh word as punishment, begin seeing these moments as preparation. God is shaping qualities within you that cannot be developed in comfort alone. A heart that remains humble under pressure becomes stronger than one that has never faced resistance. Nothing escapes God's notice. Every whispered conversation, every hidden motive, and every quiet act of faith is seen by Him. While others may speak behind your back, God continues working ahead of you. He can use every misunderstanding to deepen your dependence on Him, every challenge to strengthen your character, and every attempt to discourage you to prepare you for greater responsibility. The whispers that were meant to distract you can become reminders that your confidence belongs in God's purpose, not in people's opinions, and that His hand remains upon those who continue walking faithfully, even when the road grows quiet and uncertain. As this message comes to a close, carry one truth with you wherever you go. Not every whisper deserves an answer. Not every opinion deserves your attention. Not every accusation deserves your energy. Some battles are won the moment you refuse to enter them. Every time you choose peace over pride, wisdom over impulse, and faith over fear, you take another step toward the purpose God has prepared for your life. Keep your eyes on God's direction instead of people's conversations. Human opinions change from one moment to the next, but God's calling remains steady. Let others spend their time talking. You spend your time growing. Let others chase approval. You chase the life God has designed for you. In the end, your character will speak louder than their criticism, and your faithfulness will outlast every false story. Always remember that wisdom often sounds like silence. Strength often looks like patience. The world may celebrate the loudest voice, but heaven honors the heart that remains faithful under pressure. Every quiet act of obedience, every peaceful response, and every decision to trust God instead of reacting is building something far greater than you can see today. Before you leave, write "I choose peace" in the comments. Let those words become more than a sentence. Let them become your declaration of faith, your commitment to emotional strength, and your reminder that your peace is too valuable to surrender to unnecessary conflict. If this message encouraged your heart, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to Conscious Principles, and share it with someone who may be struggling with criticism, gossip, or hidden opposition. Your support helps this message reach people who need hope, wisdom, and God's truth. Thank you for spending this time with us. May God fill your heart with unshakable peace, guide every step you take, and remind you each day that the quiet soul who trusts Him will never walk alone.